Okay, thank you very much indeed. We're moving on now to a session entitled How is Technology Transforming Governments and Business? New Horizons, New Challenges. What are the next steps? I'm going to ask all our speakers to join me on the stage now, one by one. First of all, I'm delighted to invite the Minister of Digital Governance of Greece, Dimitris Papastergiou. Please join me on the stage. Welcome, Minister. Next up, we've got Dumitru Alaiba, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Economic Development and Digitalisation of the Republic of Moldova. Welcome. Unfortunately, Valeriya Ionan, who is the Deputy Minister for Eurointegration at the Ministry of Digital Transformation in Ukraine, was supposed to join by connection, but something urgent has come up. She won't be able to join us. We have a great panel of business leaders, because we're really talking about how governments and business can lead the way in this transformation. So let me invite Iwona Sikora, Senior Vice President and General Manager, EMEA, Iron Mountain. Lovely to see you again, Iwona.
Thank you.
Nikos Maniatis, General Manager, Greece and Cyprus for IBM. Welcome. Fotis Konstantellos, CEO of Aambience Services. Welcome. And Georgoulas, Non-Executive Director of ECOMMBX. Welcome. Okay, the format of the session. We have an hour for this session. I'm going to ask our speakers who are going to make some opening remarks, just focusing on some of the key issues from their point of view. Ask you to be short, and then we can have more time for an more informal discussion afterwards. So I'm handing straight over to you, Minister.
Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για την πρόσκληση. Καλημέρα σε όλες και σε όλους. Θα προσπαθήσω να είμαι σύντομος στο 5 λεπτό που βλέπω μπροστά μου πως διαθέτω, διότι όντως αυτή η περίοδος είναι εξαιρετικά κρίσιμη, χρήσιμη, ενδιαφέρουσα για όλα όσα κάνουμε στις κυβερνήσεις μας σε σχέση με την τεχνολογία και αναπόφευκτα με την έλευση σε τέτοιο βαθμό της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης. Όντως είναι ένα θέμα το οποίο πλέον συζητείται παντού. Νομίζω ότι ακόμα και αν γίνει ένα συνέδριο για οτιδήποτε ευτελές, κολλάμε δίπλα και το κομμάτι του AI. Όχι τυχαία, διότι σήμερα έρχεται με φόρα, έρχεται ραγδαία να αλλάξει πρόσωπα, πράγματα, καταστάσεις. Στην ελληνική κυβέρνηση από το 2019 και μετά, ακολουθώντας πιστά το όραμα του Πρωθυπουργού, ξεκίνησε μια τεράστια προσπάθεια να δείξουμε πως υπάρχει και ο άλλος δρόμος. Υπάρχει ο δρόμος ενός δημοσίου τομέα, ο οποίος μπορεί να είναι και γρήγορος και αποτελεσματικός, ο οποίος μπορεί, χάρη και στην τεχνολογία, να κερδίσει, να επαναφέρει την εμπιστοσύνη των πολιτών απέναντι στο κράτος και τον δημόσιο τομέα. Και νομίζω πως αυτό έγινε γρήγορα και επιταχύνθηκε και χάρη στην πανδημία. Πλέον ο πολίτης στην Ελλάδα ξέρει πως είναι πάρα πολύ πιθανό αυτό το οποίο ψάχνει να υπάρχει, να έχει ψηφιοποιηθεί και να μπορεί να το κάνει απομακρυσμένα χωρίς να χρειαστεί να μεταβεί οπουδήποτε. Βέβαια, αυτή είναι μόνο η αρχή. Η κουβέντα την οποία ακούμε πολύ συχνά και δεν είναι δικαιολόγητη είναι το ότι ψηφιοποιήσατε πράγματα, αλλά πιθανώς και λόγω της ταχύτητας με την οποία έγινε αυτή η ψηφιοποίηση, φτάσαμε στο σημείο να ψηφιοποιήσουμε τη γραφειοκρατία. Και το αντιλαμβάνομαι στο βαθμό που αυτό έγινε, γιατί έπρεπε πολύ γρήγορα να σπάσουμε τα σιλό των δεδομένων της δημόσιας διοίκησης και να κάνουμε τα συστήματά μας να διαλειτουργούν. Η επόμενη πλέον μέρα είναι μια μέρα όπου, έχοντας φτάσει σε ένα σημείο να μπορούμε να επικοινωνούμε τα συστήματα, πάμε να καταργήσουμε διαδικασίες, να καταργήσουμε πιστοποιητικά και να αφήσουμε σε ψηφιακή μορφή μόνο ό,τι ακριβώς χρειάζεται. Να πάμε από την διακίνηση των εγγράφων, ψηφιακών ή έχαρτων, μόνο στη διακίνηση δεδομένων. Αν το καλοσκεφτούμε, δεν υπάρχει κανείς λόγος να διακινούμε ένα πιστοποιητικό γέννησης ή ένα πιστοποιητικό οικογενειακής κατάστασης, αφού αυτά τα δεδομένα, αυτό το dataset υπάρχει στα μητρώα του κράτους. Άρα, τι θέλουμε? Απλά τη συνένεση του πολίτη για να τη χρησιμοποιήσουμε για λογαριασμό του, για κάποια αίτηση που έχει κάνει. Τι άλλο κάνουμε την ώρα αυτή στην Ελλάδα? Υποδομές. Η Ελλάδα έτρεξε πολύ γρήγορα πρωτοβουλίες όπως το πορτοφόλι, έμεινε όμως σχετικά πίσω σε σταθερές υποδομές. Στις κινητές είμαστε, νομίζω, αρκετά καλύτερα και την ώρα αυτή τρέχουμε και τρέχουμε με καλούς ρυθμούς για να καλύψουμε αυτό το όποιο χαμένο τεχνολογικά έδαφος. Με το Ultra Fast Broadband, το UFBB, με 2 voucher, ένα το οποίο τρέχει, το Smart Readiness, για να ετοιμάσουμε την καλωδίωση οπτικών ινών στα σπίτια μας, και το Gigabit Voucher, το οποίο έρχεται να καλύψει τη διαφορά των τιμών των ευρυζωνικών συνδέσεων με των απλών. Ερχόμαστε λοιπόν να κερδίσουμε αυτό το χαμένο έδαφος και βέβαια στηριζόμενοι και στον ανταγωνισμό ελπίζουμε να καλύψουμε και να ξεπεράσουμε πλέον τους μέσους όρους πάρα πολύ γρήγορα. Επίσης, ό,τι δεν βρίσκουμε στις 2 διαστάσεις, ό,τι δεν καλύπτουμε στο έδαφος, την ώρα αυτή έχουμε μια τεράστια ευκαιρία να το βρούμε από την 3η διάσταση. Χθες το απόγευμα εδώ πέρα, υπογράφηκε μια πάρα πολύ σημαντική σύμβαση. Η μία από τις 3 συμβάσεις του νέου δορυφορικού προγράμματος, του νέου προγράμματος διαστήματος της Ελλάδας, η οποία μέχρι το 2026 θα αποκτήσει ένας μήνος 15 μικροδορυφόρων, οπτικούς πολυφασματικούς, θερμικούς, SAR, προκειμένου πλέον να έχει τα δικά της μάτια στο διάστημα και να χρησιμοποιήσει αυτή την πληροφορία για πολιτική προστασία, για μετεωρολογία, για πολεοδομία και ανίχνευση της αυθαίρετης δόμησης, για έναν τεράστιο όγκο δεδομένων, τα οποία η χώρα έχει ανάγκη και μέχρι σήμερα δανειζόταν ή κατέβαζε όποτε κάποιος δορυφόρος περνούσε, με την όποια όχι πολύ σημαντική ακρίβεια είχε. Σε αυτό το πλάνο, λοιπόν, ομογενοποιούμε διαδικασίες στον τομέα της υγείας, όπου γίνεται εξαιρετική δουλειά, στον τομέα της δικαιοσύνης, όπου χάρη στο πρόγραμμα των ψηφιοποιήσεων σήμερα 1,6 δισεκατομμύρια έγγραφα πηγαίνουν προς ψηφιοποίηση, έγγραφα τα οποία θα είναι έτοιμα την επόμενη μέρα, προκειμένου η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη να εξάγει χρήσιμα συμπεράσματα και πολιτικές τις οποίες πρέπει να ακολουθήσουμε. Κλείνω μεταφέροντας σε μία γραμμή το όραμά μας, που είναι να φέρουμε όλο το κράτος στο κινητό του πολίτη, προκειμένου να έχει ελεύθερο χρόνο να ασχοληθεί με πολλά άλλα πράγματα και όχι με το πώς θα λύσει μια καθημερινή του διαδικασία, να γίνει ένα κράτος αποτελεσματικό, δίπλα στον πολίτη, ένα κράτος ασφαλές, γιατί δεν πρέπει να ξεχνάμε πως η κλιματική κρίση είναι εκεί έξω. Η Ελλάδα τον τελευταίο χρόνο το είδε με τον πολύ άσχημο τρόπο. Θα ήταν τελείως ανεύθυνο να μην συμπεριλάβουμε τις όποιες πολιτικές μας για την ενέργεια σε οτιδήποτε κάνουμε. Θέλουμε μια τεχνολογία με ανθρώπινο και πράσινο πρόσωπο.
Thank you very much, Minister. Exactly sticking to your time. That's a great start and very interesting content too. Deputy Prime Minister Alaiba, it's over to you.
Thank you very much. And really building on what my colleague here, Minister, said, as governments, we regard technology and the opportunities of digitalization as really a chance to completely transform really the way that the government is perceived by the people, by the entrepreneurs, and to completely change this interaction. And I mean, that's what it's really about, because it's not only, and you know, for Moldova, a country that still needs to catch up when it comes to economic development, we see digitalization as an opportunity to really leapfrog. Because if, for example, Estonia can save up to 2% of GDP thanks to digitalization, then this is something to keep in mind. If you want to jump faster, if you want to accelerate your growth, then efficiency is a resource that is, well, virtually infinite. It can never be fast enough or cheap enough or easy enough. So there is always opportunities to improve. That is why, for a developing country, what we want to say is that one does not have to be an advanced economy to embrace digitalization. You really can take the opportunities of technology and converge with your living standards and really offer your people and your economy a better experience. Because in essence, a government is the biggest service provider in any country. And when you go to a bank, or when you go to a restaurant, or when you go to a hotel like this beautiful venue that we are in, you expect the highest quality of service. So when the citizen is coming to a public office requesting for a service, they are entitled to the highest quality of service, because they are really our customers in this situation. That is why it's also an opportunity to build trust, mutual trust between the people and the government, and it's an opportunity to ultimately invest in democracy. The opportunities of transparency, of e-democracy are also not to be neglected, because you can build a digital democracy, and also you can build a digital dictatorship, and we see that already. So it's important to get it right. That is, our vision. That is why we have moved really fast. So compared to last year, when we had around 30% of public services available online, only less than a year later, we already have 60%, and we're going to all 100%. And moreover, the message that is being sent, especially by the entrepreneurs, those who are seeing directly the opportunities, is very strong and convincing, because 80% right now in the first quarter of 2024, 80% of interaction between entrepreneurs and the government is already in digital form. That is suggesting that actually, as governments were lagging behind, the people really prefer it, they like it, they use it. So with 60% of services available, 80% of all interaction in the first quarter was online. So it is possible, and moreover, it is suggested and requested by our people. And being in the 21st century, it's it's not the time where you have to queue for a service and see and confront these grumpy civil servants that sometimes, let's face it, in emerging economies, the problem of corruption is also persistent. So it's an opportunity to also cut corruption. And the state in a phase in a period that we are in should be invisible but present and available 24/7 right here, in a mobile phone. Not, in Estonia, again, sorry for repeating about Estonia, but people don't have a clue already where is the office of the customs or of the tax office or of the food safety and so on. So it is possible. It is possible with relatively modest investments, because it's also good economics, and it's a good return for our funds that we are investing, and we are moving very fast ahead exactly in order to catch up. Because again, efficiency is a resource that we can value much more for the economy.
Thanks, both of you. Before we move on to business panel, just to, I was very struck by, the emphasis that you put on the contribution that digitalization can make to democracy and to overcoming this trust deficit, if we want to call it that we've witnessed in many Western democracies in recent years. And in general, that is a problem confronting government. So it's, that was really striking. So I just wanted to ask both of you if you can give me some, a couple of practical examples, of what your governments have done in terms of improving, the efficiency of services and transparency, and yes, in terms of tackling corruption and grey economy and so on. Just a few, success stories. It'd be nice to hear from both of you. The two of you, yes.
Θα έλεγα πως πραγματικά πρέπει να δούμε αυτό το οποίο ο καλός φίλος ανέλησε νωρίτερα. Ότι πρώτον πρέπει να δούμε πώς μπορούμε σήμερα ένα τεράστιο κίνδυνο για τη δημοκρατία, που είναι η παραπληροφόρηση, να τον αντιμετωπίσουμε. Η παραπληροφόρηση η οποία έρχεται και διακινείται στο εξωτερικό, αλλά και η εσωτερική. Ένα πρώτο μέτρο το οποίο κάναμε και ήδη βγήκε μια σχετική πρόσκληση έχει να κάνει με το πώς μπορούμε να δούμε και να συγκεντρώσουμε το τι λέγεται, ακούγεται σε σχέση με την χώρα μας, για παράδειγμα, και τις πολιτικές της στο εξωτερικό. Ένα δεύτερο πράγμα το οποίο πρέπει να εκμεταλλευτούμε, και είναι και θέμα δημοκρατίας και ισότιμης πρόσβασης των πολιτών στις ψηφιακές υπηρεσίες, έχει να κάνει με το DSA και τις ψηφιακές υπηρεσίες. Πώς δηλαδή δομούμε πλέον ένα κράτος στο οποίο ο κόσμος μπορεί να έχει ίση πρόσβαση, να λέει την άποψή του, να μπορεί να την υποστηρίξει, σε περίπτωση που αυτό τεθεί ένα αμφιβόλο, να μπορεί να βρει τα δικαιώματά του, Άρα να στήσουμε δομές όπως αυτές από την Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση έχουν χαραχθεί σε τοπικό επίπεδο προκειμένου να μπορέσει να κινηθεί σε αυτό το καινούργιο ψηφιακό περιβάλλον. Το θέμα της διαφάνειας είναι ότι άλλως νομίζω ξεκάθαρο ότι όσο περισσότερη τεχνολογία βάζεις και όσο περισσότερες τέτοιες δικλείδες δημιουργείς, όσο στην ουσία αφαιρείς τον ανθρώπινο παράγοντα, παραδείγματος χάριν, από διαγωνιστικές διαδικασίες, είναι ξεκάθαρο πως ενδυναμώνεις τη διαφάνεια. Άρα τι θέλεις, τυποποιημένες διαδικασίες, έτσι ώστε να μην μπορεί ανθρώπινο χέρι ή μυαλό σε δεύτερη φάση να σκεφτεί και να κάνει κάτι. Κάτι το οποίο πάντα μου αρέσει να λέω είναι πως τελικά η διαφθορά είναι κόρη της γραφειοκρατίας. Ότι προφανώς όσο πιο πολύ γραφειοκρατία δημιουργείς και άρα δυνατότητες επέμβασης ανθρώπων, τόσο θα είσαι έρμεο, τόσο θα κινδυνεύεις από θέματα διαφθοράς.
Thanks. And just before, Minister Alaiba, if you can also say something about how you bring the whole population into this digital age, because obviously for younger generations this is just a natural now, but is there a generational divide? You know, how do you bring the whole population into this digital age to take advantage of this?
It is, I mean, it's a natural process that you have early adopters and you have those who you have to be more, let's say, proactive in including. But then again, if speak about entrepreneurs, 80% of the interaction is already online. So you could say that entrepreneurs are really our champions. When it comes to the general population, the numbers are still quite good, I would say. Every third interaction between a citizen and the government in Moldova is digital. Now, of course, you know, there is the urban-rural divide. There is the generational divide. This is a start. This is for us. I think it's quite a good starting point. And from here on, you have to invest in trust. People have to trust it. What's happening with my data? How safe is it? How safe am I? And so on. And this is a process. I mean, this is something that you really have to keep pushing and keep promoting. It's a never-ending process. Only then you will have a 100% digital state, but it is possible. And again, we see more and more countries that really are showing, especially small countries with compact populations, are suggesting that their experience is suggesting that it is very much possible. It takes maybe a decade all in all, because the generational gap is not so big and people are quite used to technology already compared to 20 years ago. Now coming back to how we strengthen democracy, really just to fully agree with my colleague, Mr. Minister, corruption goes hand in hand with bureaucracy, and in the end, when these two are like this, then the trust of the people is suffering. We lose touch with the population, and in the society you have the ever-growing feeling that this government is not working in my best interest. That is why investing in cutting corruption like really mercilessly, and only last year we've cut bureaucracy worth at least 0.5% of the GDP in Moldova, and we've doubled the number of digital services, and we've almost doubled the number of the digital uptake really. And again, this is an investment in our relationship, in the trust with the people. Ultimately, protecting and upholding democracy, because people see the difference. You know, they remember that 1 year ago you had to travel for 2 hours somewhere and request a stupid stamp. I'm sorry for being too frank. And now you can do it in 2 clicks, within 2 seconds, having your coffee. And this is suggesting something. And transparency is really the cheapest way, the cheapest method to make everyone in the society a watchdog of the government. And speaking about checks and balances, this is what really it's about. When you know that everything is out there, then any decision maker will be much more responsible in front of their constituents. And this is ultimately, feeding this virtuous circle in really strengthening democracy.
Thanks. Okay, so we've had very strong case for how this technological revolution can be transformational for government and its relationship with citizens. So let's hear the business perspective, and we've got some key leaders in this field on the panel with us. So let's start with you, Iwona Sikora, in Mountain.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I would like to kind of talk a little bit about the data, because data, we know for many, many years is called as a new oil. But as the new technology is developing, we are creating more and more data. In 2023, 120 million zettabytes of data was created. It is 90% of the last 10 years. So it's really it's an exponential growth. And what is the most important, how can we use the data? We just heard, it's like you can digitize, but it's like doing it in a right way. So also the development of the technology is actually helping to enrich the data, to manage the data, structure the data. And it's not about also creating a digital front door where, for example, citizens or customers can reach out to enterprise or a government through the digital door, but it's also what's happening behind this door. So it's all about how your data are being structured. Can I easily use it? Can I automate the processes? And you can only automate the processes if data are properly structured. And then you can apply the technology like robotic process automation. So as both ministers mentioned, it's eliminating that human element. You can actually automate the process and create a full transparency. So right now, with the new technology, the large language models are actually helping to, almost talk to your data. So, just giving an examples with the contracts, instead of just today, lawyers have to go through the contracts. Actually, with the large language models, you can start asking the questions in a different language even, and you get the extraction, of what's in the documents related to your question. So we're calling it talking to your data, which is very powerful, and we have never had that before the generative AI. And the great examples is also with the governments as we're working is that there is a much bigger openness for using AI. And we have a great example here in Greece with EFK, where we started the project of digitizing a patient files, and we use the AI technology to extract the data that really accelerated the project by 3.5 times, not 100% or 3.5 times. So the purpose of the institution is really to accelerate the payouts of the pensions to the citizens. So for the government, it's extremely important to provide the best value for the citizens. So, the technology is giving us a lot of benefits, but it's also, when we think about how much data is being created and how much space is being used for that data, it's also sustainably, structuring this data and, removing what's not needed. It's also important because we should not be storing what should not be stored, because it's also causing some of the information security risks going forward.
That's great, Iwona, and I like that, talking to your data. It's a good praise. I'm going to take each of the business panelists and then I'm going to come back to all of you with some questions. So next up we have Nikos Maniatis from IBM. Welcome.
Thank you for the invitation from my side. And the topic of the panel was well represented in previous panels. I heard yesterday ministers of different portfolios talking about artificial intelligence. I heard Admiral Stavridis from the investment company pitching about the priorities of NATO and how they should focus on artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. We are already working with them to increase the security posture around vulnerabilities and asset management. So, I mean, Minister Papastergiou, in Greece, we are all aware of how, successful we have been as a country in adopting this kind of new transformative technologies so that we get better citizen services. The applications mentioned, there was a very strong collaboration between the government and the private sector to allow this, let's say, complexity to be moved out of the citizen so that the citizen feels very free by using technology. My Health app is one of the examples mentioned. Also, our businesses locally are doing pretty good. According to a recent study of the Federation of our businesses, SEV, we have done great steps to go close to the European average. We have matured 5 times faster than the European average in terms of small business, let's say. So we are pretty good, right? And there's a big opportunity in front of us. AI opportunity, according to McKinsey study, it will unlock around 4.4 trillion of value annually just from one technology. And AI, other generations have already witnessed how technology transforms societies, like electricity, steam engine, internet. The bet this generation is around artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence will be the best, let's say, assistant of the humankind to become more free in order to focus on the high-level capabilities of the human being. And AI will take away all the repetitive, boring tasks, and will also solve, together with possibly quantum technology that is coming very soon into our play again, solve complex problems that could not have solved in the past. Right, so my main point from today's session is that great power, of course, comes with great responsibility. So we need to be sure that we, as companies and as governments, we use the technology only for the good part of the capabilities that it provides, and we isolate the bad use. And another point that I want to link with Iwona's point about data, most of, let's say, the models that are currently represented in AI public responsibilities is based on public internet data. Only a very few percentage of enterprise data is represented in these models, and we believe that the future of AI and the future of technology is open. We need to be sure that the models we use are transparent so that we can trust our most valuable asset as governments and enterprises to these base models so that we can generate real competitive advantage out of the public data as well as our own data. In order to be competitive, and Enrico Letta yesterday talked about the 5th pillar, let's say, of the single market, which was innovation, right? In order to be innovative and really differentiate, we need to have AI that is trained on our data, but with models that are trusted and open. So I will rephrase, let's say, the topic of the discussion to a challenge. The challenge, I believe, for technology adoption, transformation going forward is whether we will be able, as enterprises, as governments, to use technology as a value creator, or we'll just remain technology consumers.
Great, thank you very much. And next we have Fotis Konstantellos from Aambience Services.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the initiative and the opportunity. First of all, I will start from describing what transformation and where we stand up to now and why we have this challenge. What has changed up to now? What has changed is, first of all, the availability of the different technologies. And technology is there. It has gone right down to the business user. And the new challenge now is how we are facing with that speed, because technology is speed. And the biggest challenge is to control this speed. How do we control the speed? We control the speed by monitoring. And what we are monitoring is the data. So the new challenges, the new era, the new facts is that we have to treat technology as a service. It's very, very important. And in order to have answers, because the selections are there, the different platforms, the applications, the automations, the AI, the machine learning, all those words that we are mentioning are there. But how do we select? How do we apply that technology to different businesses? How do we apply to the government? To the governments. The biggest challenge in governments is the service delivery to the end citizen. The citizen now more than ever demands the speed, that kind of speed. And the government needs to control this data. We believe that there is a lot of work to be done, and there is a lot of convergence now between businesses and governments. They have the same, we are facing the same challenges because it has gone down to the user level. So how do we tackle those transformations? We have the service level that we have to challenge, we have to implement. That has to be done with partnerships with big vendors, partnerships between technology companies. And we have to go down to the analysis. Principles are the same for whatever we're doing are the same. So we have to be very, very careful how we analyze. We have to increase the speed of the analysis to each user, not by the same methods that we have done up to now. Up to now, we have IT departments, we have business analysts that belong to the IT departments, or they belong to the business departments, so there is a misalignment there. We have to treat that misalignment. We have to be fast. We have to deliver fast analysis for the end user. That's the new challenge. So coming back to this transformation, we have to address the speed by, as I said, by data. Data scientists are more than important, more than necessary. Data scientists, not in the sense that we have recognized up to now, they have to be treated, they have to be trained on algorithms. The algorithms are becoming continuously under improvement. And what I'm trying to describe here is that this continuous integration and improvement has to be in the DNA that we are doing business. The opportunities are there. And we have to leave the space for this process to be changed. Digital transformation, we know that we're trying to have the plans implemented as much as possible, but sometimes we're losing the end game. The end game is that this will not end. It's a continued process of integration and selection as the technology improves, as the solutions are improving. To give an example is that, okay, we talked about from the previous speakers about the AI and the machine learning and how we implement the machine learning. It's very important that we start applying those models, because the input within the company or within the government is giving the end user will also adapt the model. So it's very important to mature the models and to have this applied technology the sooner possible in order to have it mature.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, very clear messages there. And finally, over to you, John Georgoulas. How is this technology transformation affecting your business?
John, Nectaria, and Alistair, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to participate in this year's amazing event, I must say. And what is incredible is that since yesterday, and today, of course, I haven't heard a single panel without using the word technology. Either we speak about politics or environment or financial issues, the word technology is everywhere. So technology is our future and the future of our own kids. Technology is improving transparency, is improving sustainability, inclusivity, and other sectors of our everyday lives. And just imagine being in Africa, let's say, in a continent without having the opportunity or possibility to do banking. And through your mobile phone, you can make your transactions wherever you are, even in the middle of nowhere. And this is a real case example of a company that is thriving in Africa at the moment in the payment sector. I must say that yesterday's fireside talk between Prime Minister Mitsotakis and Enrico Letta amazed me. And they discussed about the exact thing that we should all be discussing at the moment, which is how we innovate Europe. And in my mind, I had a couple of things that I wanted to say. I said that to Enrico, and I think he agreed. He's not here, unfortunately, today. The first problem that we lack innovation is that there is no capital markets union, meaning that not every country in the European continent has the same opportunity in order to fund startups in Europe. That's why most of the startups are looking into the American market. The second is the heavy regulation that we are all facing. So you have America from the one side that they want to deregulate certain aspects of their own markets, either it's technology or financial services. And in Europe, we put new regulations, heavy regulations. We raise the costs to the top, and companies, especially new companies, cannot sustain. So these are the two major burdens in order to have more innovation in the European continent. Now, in Cyprus, the last years, the amazing thing is that 13% of our GDP comes from the technology sector. So first is the tourism sector, and now the second is technology. Our technology sector is growing from the bottom. We have all these new companies, young people that the Cyprus government has made possible to attract in Cyprus. I must say in the fintech sector, we have more than 300 companies working there, regulated by the Capital Markets Authority or the Bank of Cyprus. And this has improved also the mindset of the locals. Now, what I see in Greece is that the investments come from the top. So there are big investments in the technology sector. There are investments in the government, from the government side. But I don't see technology being produced here. And I want to close by giving some example of my own sector, which is the payment sector. And you will all understand how technology has changed everyone's life. We have now contactless payments. So you can just use a card or a mobile phone and have easily and secure a payment. We use mobile wallets like Apple Pay or Google Pay that makes everything easier. AI and machine learning. With AI, we will reduce the fraudulent activities by people who want to harm us. blockchain technology, and of course, biometric authentication. That's it from me, and I hope I helped a bit. Thank you.
You did indeed. Thanks very much, John. Yeah, of course, Cyprus scores very highly in the Global Innovation Index, and yeah, 13% of GDP generated by the technology sector, you know, is testament to that. Well, thanks all of you for sticking to your time, which means we've got time for some discussion, and I'm aiming I have to finish by 12:50. So I'm sure I want to come back to all of you on the business front, and then we'll come back to government, if that's okay, just to ask you a few questions. So everybody, I think, has emphasized the importance of cooperation between government and private sector. And Iwona, you mentioned one project that Iron Mountain was involved in, which, you know, is an illustration of that, this project with EFCA, which is, for those of you who don't know, that is the Social Security Agency of Greece. You said a little bit about that. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the project and, you know, the impact that that is having already on citizens of Greece in terms of the pension situation here?
So I would just say a few words, because we actually have an expert in the room. So first of all, what I wanted to kind of underline, the project was first structured to really use the manual input of data. And only kind of, you know, the drive from government and from the governor of EFCA was really kind of how do we use a new technology and AI for, you know, expediting the data extraction and data enrichment. But maybe, you know, if I can ask the government, Alexander Vavrelis, to say a little bit more, it will be a best testimony. Thank you.
Yes, thanks very much. I think we have a microphone, and the governor of EFCA, Alexandros Vavaris. Yeah, maybe you can tell us how transformational this has been for the organization.
Should be working.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the kind invitation. As I can understand, I can speak until 12:50.
Yes.
Okay, so I will take the whole time. Okay?
Just a few minutes.
Okay, allow me to speak in Greek. Αφού σας ευχαριστήσω για μια πολύ ενδιαφέρουσα ημέρα, επιτρέψτε μου να σας πω για τον ψηφιακό μετασχηματισμό. Ναι, τον ψηφιακό μετασχηματισμό του ΙΕΦΚΑ. Δεν ακούγεται ως ανέκδοτο, είναι πραγματικότητα. Είναι μια μεγάλη προσπάθεια που κάνουμε. Μένω σε δύο προτάσεις του αγαπημένου μου φίλου, του Δημήτρη Παπαστεργίου. Ο Δημήτρης Παπαστεργίου μίλησε για υποδομές που φτιάχνουμε. Άρα, λοιπόν, φτιάχνουμε και την κοινωνική ασφάλιση των επόμενων δεκαετιών και μίλησε ότι πρέπει να φέρουμε το κράτος στο κινητό. Ήταν δύο έτσι, σημαντικά πράγματα, τα οποία πρέπει να τα κρατήσουμε και φεύγοντας από εδώ να μείνουμε σε αυτές τις δύο ιδιαιτέρως έτσι, σοβαρές και ελπιδοφόρες δηλώσεις. Για μας, τον ΕΦΚΑ, η ψηφιοποίηση της ασφαλιστικής ιστορίας, δηλαδή του ασφαλιστικού βίου όλων των πολιτών, είναι πυλώνας του ψηφιακού μετασχηματισμού. Ανάμεσα σε πολλά άλλα που για πολλούς είναι αυτονόητα, όπως η σύνδεση στο ίντερνετ, οι χώροι, οι αποθηκευτικοί και πολλά άλλα, πυλώνας όμως είναι και η ψηφιοποίηση του ασφαλιστικού βίου. Έτσι λοιπόν, στην κατεύθυνση αυτή την περίοδο στον οργανισμό τρέχουμε δύο έργα. Δύο μεγάλα έργα ψηφιοποίησης του ασφαλιστικού βίου. Το ένα χρηματοδοτείται από το Ταμείο Ανάκαμψης, που τώρα ξεκινάει επί της ουσίας, και το δεύτερο είναι από το ΕΣΠΑ, που σας μίλησαν και μόλις προηγουμένως. Και τα δύο έργα αυτά, λοιπόν, έχουν την εξής πρωτοτυπία. Σχεδιάστηκαν από εμάς, είμαστε πολύ περήφανοι γι' αυτό, και χρησιμοποιούν τεχνολογίες εχμής, χρησιμοποιούν τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, χρησιμοποιούν μηχανική μάθηση. Κάτι άπιαστο μέχρι πριν από μερικά χρόνια στη χώρα μας, και μάλιστα εγώ τώρα, μεταξύ σοβαρού και αστείου, περηφανεύομαι και λέω ότι τώρα αναγκάζουμε και όλους τους άλλους να κινηθούν σε αυτό το δρόμο, κάτι το οποίο τελικώς αποδεικνύεται καλό. Γιατί αποδεικνύεται καλό? Γιατί τα ποσοστά επιτυχίας που έχουμε είναι πάρα πολύ υψηλά, επιδέχονται βελτιώσεως, Άλλωστε, είμαστε ακόμα στην αρχή αυτής της διαδικασίας, άρα οι αλγόριθμοι θα εκπαιδευτούν και θα αποδώσουν πολύ καλύτερα στην πορεία. Και η ποιότητα των δεδομένων μας δείχνει στην πράξη ότι είναι αρκετά καλή. Έτσι, λοιπόν, το μήνυμα είναι αρκετά ελπιδοφόρο ότι πάμε μπροστά με τεχνολογίες εχμής, χρησιμοποιούμε intelligent document processing, κάτι το οποίο ήταν άπιαστο πριν από 1-2 χρόνια. Είμαστε, λοιπόν, πολύ χαρούμενοι. Γι' αυτό, στο σημείο αυτό, επιτρέψτε μου να ευχαριστήσω και την Iron για την αξιοπιστία, την ταχύτητα, την επιστημοσύνη, ας μου επιτραπεί η λέξη, και για τον επαγγελματισμό και τη μέλλον, φυσικά. Αυτό είναι το πλάνο μας. Με βάση αυτό προχωράμε και ελπίζω ότι θα έχουμε πολύ καλά αποτελέσματα στο μέλλον. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Thanks so much. Just a question, I suppose it's a common question arising from what all of you said now for Nikos and Fotis and John. You know, in one way or another, all of you have talked about the necessity for business to integrate AI, cloud computing, cybersecurity, all these things. And I guess the big question is how should or how can businesses go about doing that? Is there a model? You know, what are the kind of, should there be a focus on use cases? You know, if you can say a little bit about that, what you have learned, or give some guidance, that would be great.
Absolutely, yes. Just a very quick comment. Take some credit from the EFCA story, because some of the databases that run the pensions operate as part of G-Cloud on a very powerful IBM machine that really adds value, I think, to the whole process. So, congratulations for the EFCA use case. Let me just say a few words on this topic very quickly, because governments and enterprises are under a specific mission, as I mentioned earlier, to use base models and add their own data to represent their data to these models so that they can create the competitive advantage. These base models are like a vessel, right? And you need to use the appropriate vessel so that you accomplish this mission to become innovative and competitive. This vessel needs to be transparent so that you can see the ingredients that there are in there. It needs to be open so that you can know what data already exists, so that you can be secure to add your own data. These base models that the enterprise and governments are using needs to provide the commercial rights so that the insights provided by the new data representations are available to use for your own sake, for your own benefit, right? So they don't belong to someone else. And finally, they need to be indemnified. So you need to be sure that no one will claim for your, let's say, insight, their own IP on that. So many topics around this, but these 3 steps, from my point of view, needs to be, you know, mandated in order to start and accomplish your mission, which is innovation.
Great, thanks. Fotis, you really emphasize the need for evaluation, you know, evaluating the technology and working out then what are the next steps. So maybe you can say a bit more about that.
Yes, thank you. We think that the models and the principles are the same, and more than before, it's very, I would say, current and very popular. The model that has been discussed more than 60 years ago, it's the PPT model, People, Process, and Technology. That model identifies all the elements and the checklist of being successful. By people, we have to keep training. The training is very, very important for the people. We have to see out of the box. For the processes, I think we have mentioned that the need is there for continuous analysis, and we have to capture more than ever very fast the new needs, and we have to minimize the life cycle of this process, of analyzing. And technology comes the third element, has to come as a service through partnerships and through continuous improvement and integration. At Aambience Services, we are very passionate and excited and proud of this model, and we continue to implement this model. And we believe just a few facts about the studies also that the future outcomes as far as impacts are concerned. The biggest impact, of course, we can feel it, but through adaptation of the technology is through sales, marketing, and customer care. The second, and we have to identify and to have a very close look, is software engineering. And that's where it comes to the continuous improvement that I mentioned before.
Great, thank you. John?
So I think that there are two very simple things that someone should do to be able to integrate new technologies. First of all, and I think what you said it, is you need to have the right personnel. So you need to have the right people in your organization in order to be able to understand and adapt the new technologies. And I think that a very good example coming from the government side is the Society of Information. So the ministry had the basic staff that could understand and develop by themselves the technology, and it was very easy for them to be able to take out in the market GovGR, which is a great application, by the way. I live abroad, so I'm using it. Thank you for that. And the second thing is you need to be able to identify the right partner to help you through the process. A reliable partner can either take you to the top or put you in the grave. So these two things for me are the most important someone could use.
Thanks. I'm going to come back to the two ministers now to finish the session. And two questions, I guess, for you arising from what we've been discussing. One is, there is a real excitement around AI at the moment, a lot of hype maybe. Is there any reason that we should be skeptical about the possible gains in terms of productivity, in terms of delivery for citizens and so on? Is there any reason for caution or skepticism? And that's probably going to lead into the next sessions. We've got a part 1, part 2, and maybe a part 3 about AI. That's one. And the other thing is the role of governments together with industry and the tech sector in terms of upskilling and education, because obviously this has huge implications for the labor force in Greece, in Moldova, and everywhere. So what should governments be doing there and utilizing the tech sector in that endeavor too? That's my two questions.
Καταρχάς, ως προς το κομμάτι της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, στο ρόλο του ανθρώπου και στο τελικά που σταματάμε, η αλήθεια είναι πως η τεχνολογία πάντα κάνει εντυπωσιακά πράγματα. Παρότι ηλεκτρολόγος μηχανικός, το λέω πάντα ότι νιώθω πως πολλές φορές η τεχνολογία έρχεται να κάνει τόσο fancy πράγματα, να μας εντυπωσιάσει, να μας δείξει ότι γίνεται όλο και καλύτερη, άρα μπαίνει πολύ στη ζωή μας, αλλά τελικά πόση τεχνολογία αντέχουμε και πόση τεχνολογία θέλουμε και τελικά ποιος είναι ο ρόλος του ανθρώπου δίπλα από την τεχνολογία. Ειδικά στο κομμάτι της χρήσης τεχνολογίας για κυβερνητικούς σκοπούς, θεωρώ πως θα πρέπει ξεκάθαρα να δούμε τι δεν θέλουμε να κάνει η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη και στην κατεύθυνση αυτή κινείται το AI Act, η πράξη για την τεχνητή νοημοσύνη που η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση έχει ήδη θεσμοθετήσει και να βρούμε αυτές τις χρήσεις που μπορούν να δώσουν προστιθέμενη αξία κυρίως σε κομμάτια όπως η υγεία, η δικαιοσύνη. Ήδη η ελληνική κυβέρνηση χρησιμοποιεί 3 εφαρμογές τεχνητής νοημοσύνης. Το MyGov, το οποίο ήρθε για να βοηθήσει τον πολίτη να βρει την ψηφιακή του υπηρεσία ανάμεσα στις περίπου 1.800 που έχουμε. Στο MyGreece, το οποίο είναι ένας ψηφιακός βοηθός για τους επισκέπτες που έρχονται στην Ελλάδα για λόγους κυρίως ασφαλείας. Και βέβαια στη χρήση που κάνουμε πλέον με το MyCoast, μια καινούργια εφαρμογή για τις παραλίες και το να μπορούμε και εμείς μέσω αλγορίθμων τεχνητής νοημοσύνης να βρούμε σε ποια σημεία έχει γίνει παράνομη κατάληψη των ακτών από ομπρέλες και εξαπλώστρες. Αυτή είναι όμως μόνο η αρχή. Αυτά είναι τα εύκολα, αν θέλετε, είναι προϊόντα παραγωγικής τεχνητής νοημοσύνης. Η αλήθεια και η ουσία είναι ότι αυτό το οποίο περιμένω από την τεχνολογία ως σύγχρονος άνθρωπος είναι να βρει λύσεις άμεσα στην υγεία, εκεί που θα πρέπει να δουλέψουμε πάνω σε απεικονιστικές εικόνες και από έρευνες για τον καρκίνο και βέβαια στη δικαιοσύνη που στην Ελλάδα, η γενέτειρα της δημοκρατίας, παράγουμε μάλλον παραπάνω νομοθεσία από αυτή που μπορούμε να καταναλώσουμε, με αποτέλεσμα η απονομή της δικαιοσύνης να γίνεται σχετικά αργά. Άρα θα πρέπει όντως να βάλουμε ένα όριο. Είναι ένα πολύ χρήσιμο εργαλείο η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, όπως και προηγούμενα εργαλεία τεχνικά και τεχνολογικά στη ζωή μας. Όμως θα πρέπει κυρίως να δούμε τον άνθρωπο και πώς όλα αυτά θα έρθουν να κάνουν τη ζωή του ευκολότερη. Σε σχέση με την αγορά εργασίας, αυτό το οποίο αντιμετωπίζουμε νομίζω σε όλη την Ευρώπη, είναι ξεκάθαρο ότι αλλάζουν τα δεδομένα, όπως όταν προέκυψαν οι προσωπικοί υπολογιστές, ο διαδίκτυο, υπάρχει πάντα ο φόβος του τι θα κάνουμε την επόμενη μέρα και αν θα χαθούν δουλειές. Θέλει μια ιδιαίτερη μέριμνα στις ηλικίες των ανθρώπων οι οποίοι είναι κοντά στο όριο της ταξιοδότησης, οπότε όντας πάνω από τα 60 πιθανώς να μην βρίσκουν εύκολα εργασία και εδώ πέρα πρέπει να έρθει το κοινωνικό πρόσωπο του κράτους και να βοηθήσει τους ανθρώπους αυτούς. Κατά τα άλλα, για τις νεότερες ηλικίες πρέπει να αποκτήσουμε νέες δεξιότητες και να είμαστε πάντα κομμάτι των τεχνολογιών που χρησιμοποιούμε, να μην είμαστε έξω από αυτό. Λείπουν τεχνικά χέρια στην Ελλάδα σήμερα, άρα θέλει δουλειά στο να αποκτήσουμε νέες δεξιότητες, να κάνουμε reskilling, αλλά και τα πανεπιστήμια μας γρήγορα να αλλάξουν τα προγράμματα σπουδών προς κατευθύνσεις που θέλουμε ανθρώπους που αναλύουν δεδομένα, cyber security, όλα αυτά τα οποία έρχονται και μπορούν να μας βοηθήσουν την επόμενη μέρα.
Thanks very much, Minister. And, that topic we'll be discussing in a session shortly with your new Minister, Nikos Maniatis. I have to squeeze you because we've got a really hard deadline and we have to finish now. But just very briefly to respond from...
First of all, government's role in promoting modernization and applying new technology is crucial, because this is where you have direct impact on the quality of lives. And the AI is, it's the future. The opportunities are immense in healthcare, in public procurement, in administration, and many others. Us, as a country that is now advancing swiftly towards the European Union, we have to approximate a lot of documents and a lot of legislation that will have to converge with the EU law. Now, I could use an army of civil servants for that, or I can experiment and explore the opportunities of the AI. And I would really prefer the second, because again, speaking about bureaucracy and so on, the more public servants, the more bureaucracy, and the more slower decision making. About the labor market, I think it's very clear. There is things are always in permanent change. This is not something that we can, we cannot exclude the risks. We cannot ban the risks. We have to learn how to manage the negative externalities and embrace the opportunity. And someone said it much better before me. I'm sure you've heard this phrase. AI is not coming for your job. AI, another human that knows AI is coming for your job. So we better start learning. We better start exploring. This is inevitably going to be part of the future that we are building together, and that's it's just how we should think, I think.
Thank you. Thanks all of you for your excellent interventions. Please join me in thanking the panel.